President Buhari orders ministers to produce a flood prevention plan in 90 days. Federal government launches special agro-industrial processing zones. Aviation crisis, Emefiele says one-third of global economy in recession, plus oil prices edge higher as US dollar eases. Details of these and more on Business Express on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority, the NTA, and we're reaching you from Abuja, the nation's capital. My name is Leah Katung. Baba Tunde welcoming you this morning. We'll start by informing you that WhatsApp is down, affecting users in Nigeria and multiple other countries all the way to Asia. To the main business of the day, $538 million have been mobilized by the federal government and other development partners for the takeoff of Special Agro-Industrial Processing Zones program in Nigeria. The program is aimed at boosting food production in the country to prevent imminent food insecurity, enhance export and provision of jobs for millions of Nigerian youths.
The agricultural sector was pivotal in pulling our economy out of recession and is the single largest employer of labor. So we must incentivize agriculture through greater investments and an enabling environment for private sector participation and to advance our national agro-industrialization drive.
We believe that investment in food and food production is imperative for today, and investment in food and food production is imperative for our future. We are honored to work with the Republic of Nigeria to support this game-changing project.
For urgent actions are needed to prevent a food crisis in Africa.
Nigeria is the leading country in Africa, and if Nigeria is hungry, Africa is hungry. The only way we can stop African hunger is to ensure that every single dollar, every single coin coming out of this project has its manifestation in practical results.
We are working to ensure that in the next few years, made in Nigeria products, many of which will come out of these SAPZs, will be on supermarket shelves around the world.
The program is designed to commence in 8 locations of Kano, Imo, Kaduna, Cross River, Kwara, Oyo, and Ogun, and the Federal Capital Territory. That is in the first phase.
Pressing issues in the aviation sector, among them repatriation of forex by foreign airlines, may soon be resolved as the leadership of the House of Representatives urges concerned parties to be reasonable in all approach.
Many are arguing that the ban is in place because people are not being given visas, but the official date that you are supposed to stop flying is the 28th. If it's tied to the issue of repatriation, we are working on it.
Issue of not granting Nigerian airlines opportunity to fly in your country. When you allow Air Peace or any other Nigerian airline to fly into your country, what Air Peace will do is that Air Peace will charge Naira, just like we also expect foreign airlines to charge Naira. But under BASA, every penny that the foreign airline sells in tickets, it must convert into dollars and take away.
what is left, what we have now, is $700 million.
I want to tell you are lying.
And you cannot even compare us with Ghana. The size of the aviation market in Nigeria is 40 times that of Ghana. 45 times that of Ghana. If you do the math, and my math is correct, 8 million times 45 will give you about 360. We've been doing our best to ensure that we have taken this on board and we have resolved the issues. We never said that at any point the CBN or the government of Nigeria is not providing money to repatriate.
President Muhammadu Buhari has directed the Ministry of Water Resources to lead and coordinate with the Ministries of Environment and Transportation as well as state governments to develop a comprehensive plan of action for preventing flood disasters in Nigeria. The President's directive, which was conveyed to the Minister in a letter signed by his Chief of Staff, Professor Ibrahim Gambari, said the plan should be presented to him in 90 days. According to the statement, President Buhari is regularly receiving updates on the flooding situation in the country and has restated his commitment towards addressing the challenges caused by the disaster in the country. This year's floods in the country are thought to be the worst in a decade, with over 1.4 million people reported to have been forced out of their homes, over 70,000 hectares of farmlands destroyed, and more than 500 people killed. Female miners are making a case to have equal rights in the mining industry. President Women in Mining Janet Adeyemi presented the women's position at a two-day policy dialogue on mainstreaming gender in the solid minerals sector in Abuja. A research document compiled after inputs from stakeholders held in Ebonyi, Edo, Osun, Plateau, and Taraba states was also presented.
But some of them believe, mining is for men, mining is for the powerful. To break that stereotyping, we quickly moved in, to start educating them. We have started opening the books to look at it. We still don't have access to funding. We still don't have access to titles. Because why? Not because we are denied directly, but there's indirect denial. How are there indirect denial? Indirect denial is that I don't have money of my own. I don't have property of my own. So I cannot access those things you are talking of.
Sometimes women, by their own self, discriminate themselves. But because they look at issues and feel that it is purely for men. No, it is available for all to pick up. The Federal Executive Council has approved of the value addition of the downstream sector of the mining industry. It opens the door for cottage industries to be established.
And of course, Janet Adeyemi, she is the founder of Women in Mining in Nigeria, a foremost gender-based organization in the mining sector. She is right here in the studio and joins me to speak further on issues around women in mining and economic diversification. You're welcome to Business Express.
Thank you so much. It's nice meeting you again.
Okay, great. Yeah, perhaps we start by having an understanding when we say women in mining. What does that mean?
That's a very interesting caption. Women in mining, it's just women in mining. That is, women who are either in the mining environment, living in the mining environment, women who work as career professionals in the mining industry, women who engage in business, doing business in the mining sector, women who are married to miners, women who are advocates, who choose to advocate against mining. So that name, Women in Mining, captures all. And it's not just only in Nigeria. You have women in mining now in about 92 jurisdictions. Everywhere where mining takes place, you find women come together because mining cuts across so many cross-sections. And so you just have to speak, and to speak, the women decided to come together under that umbrella, to pursue their goals.
Okay, so why do we have this sort of conception that it's a man kind of affair?
Yeah, I don't blame the society for thinking so. Women have always been there. Just like what happened to, especially, let me use Nigeria, which I know so well, colonialism. You know that before the colonial masters came in, that women play a significant role in the political landscape of Nigeria. We have the likes of Queen Amina, we have women who went to war. And I don't know, maybe recently you are watching this movie directed by Davis. It excites me so much because it's a story I know, so I can key into it, that women have played significant role. And so in the mining sector, even as far back as the 1903, 1913, women were there, you understand, working, either assisting their husbands or providing one service or the other, even to the extent of providing entertainment to vigorate the men when they are working. But the colonial masters never documented that in the book, just like they shut us out of school and came up with so many laws. So it has never been accorded, they made sure they retain that opaque nature where women are not to be seen, women are not to be heard, even when they are working. And even till recent, you find women working in the sector either as, but what are they doing? As laborers, carrying loads, doing all manner of things. So that even when professionals now came onto the scene, professionals were not really admitted, to be in leadership position until very, very recently. You understand this? And you can still see the deficiency in terms of numbers, because when you know that you can't buttress or advance your career in a particular situation, you find other fields. So women who are even educated like me never had opportunity with working in the mining sector, because mining sector was literally dead then. If you go to the agency today, you find that out of maybe 3 or 4 directors, you find, do we even have any female right now? I don't think so. But you find women in lower positions. The only director I think I know have moved maybe to Geological Survey Agency and things like that. So it's not what it should be, and it can be better. So, and this is the time to build up that strategy. And to build up that strategy, nobody is condemning anybody. It's completely out of it. At times we find ourselves in situations we never bargained for. The strategy is now to start awareness, to start sensitization. And that took us to what we wired out to create what we call Girls for Mining. The Girls for Mining, we went to secondary schools, set up mining clubs, and start educating them, start getting them interested, apart from STEM. Start introducing career to them to see, mining is not what you think. These days, they are robotic technology everywhere. If you go to Sima mines in Mali, you see them there, all women working, and at times, even the men, you no longer carry jigger and cutlass and things like that. So these are professions you can move into. And mining, like I said, cuts across several sections. You have the upstream, you have the midstream, you have the side stream, you have the downstream. So there are different roles to play that women can equally be there and get to the top. So we are determined and focused that by the time, in another 5-6 years, you must find women at the top, you understand? Apart from being in business, you understand? Being policy makers, who are really embedded and know what is happening in the mining sector.
I'm actually interested that when you mentioned the girls in mining.
Yeah.
Now, the statistics we have is that a lot of girls, we have a higher proportion of girls, let me put it that way, out of school when you compare with the boys. So how are you going about this to see that girls from young age get into the system? Looking at also, you talked about the tech thing, but then we can't actually have the gadgets without mining, right?
Yeah. You see, that statistics for me, at times I'm a bit confused, because when you look at the books, especially when you look at geology courses now, in those days, like when I was in school, we were 3 in the class, and sets before us, at times 1 or none. But now when you get to the class, the ratio is almost 1 to 1. So I'm focusing mainly on looking at the class of geology, students of geology. Before, you don't find girls there, but now girls are there. The only thing is that when they graduate now, do they have opportunities? You find them going into that other non-related profession because they believe there's no room for them. But what we intend to do, and which we have started, is to get these young girls. We spoke to their schools, and Professor Mrs. Obaji now, the former Minister of Education, the first women minister, chairs that committee. And then we have Professor Mrs. Jejelowo in the US. And strategically we took her so that when we go on exchange visits, you understand, taking our children to NASA, taking them anywhere, we have somebody on hand who is able to help us. So she co-chairs. So these young girls, we went to their schools, created incentives for them, things they can see, take them through on what basic geology are and the opportunities, you know, they can embrace in the mining sector, which I think goes a long way. Then in terms of tech, there's nothing you do now. You use teleprompter, you use, and today it's becoming more, the tech are coming in numbers. Like we have a current project we are doing where we are going to create an e-platform where anybody on site can interface with us on human rights issue. Again, we need to develop the app. So apps are coming up. I hope maybe someday we'll see an app that will even feed us, you know, rather than feed ourselves at the rate with which apps are coming up. So these are areas girls can fit in. These are things that will not even disturb their normal life, you know, because some people believe, oh, the way women are created. I don't know how women are created anyway that is different from men, but even if you want to opt for, you will find things you can opt for in the sector. Doctors, medical geology, the administration of drugs, especially the things like calcium, you know, drugs that meets basis, you understand, you know, they are all from the mining sector. You have to understand the chemistry of what you are doing, you know, especially when it comes to things like corals. Dead corals are very good for calcium, for natural calcium sources, organic calcium sources. So many things. Is it even you love taking pictures? You can decide to be a photogeologist where you carry your camera, or geotourism and promote that. But you have to understand the sector to be able to do that. You have to know where the formations are, where you get beautiful formations. You carry your lenses there. You want to take people, like if you get to US, somewhere around Denver, you know, people go on, or tourism is promoted, just looking at old gold fields and things like that. You make your money, and then you boost the economy of your country. Look at gemstone cutting, which is the one we are really driving right now. Gemstone cutting is a very beautiful thing. See your, you know, Malay, we know our dresses, we like stones and things like that. We talk of Sarkozy crystals, our engagement rings and things like that. Who could do it better than the women who have the eye to see the beauty of those stones? Mm-hmm. So, and the women are occupying the thing. In fact, on the 4th and 5th of November, we are having what we call a gold and gem meeting in Lagos, where some jewelers are coming, you know, and some stone people are coming. All you have to do is cut your stone, give the jeweler, you know, to do. And so there are so many areas that girls can fit in. There are so many areas that girls are already doing something but not known to the public. So we want to bring these things to the forefront. We want to promote it. We want to encourage people, you know, to see what is happening and see the opportunities there. Yes, it's easy for somebody to say, oh, the girls are not being marginalized. But I'll tell you that the girls are marginalized. And how are they marginalized? Yeah, the laws might not directly marginalizing you, but we have an existing law we inherited from the colonial masters. If you look at the labor law, I think section 53 says women can go underground. You know, you cry more than the bereaved, you understand? Why should you choose what I should do and should not do? I don't think anybody should regulate. Such things should be out of the books. That's one form of discrimination, and it has ripple effects. We have someone, if you were in our meeting, you will hear of Engineer Banke Onak, who took 20 years, that's the first female mining engineer, who took 20 years before she can be employed, because one of the directors, or permanent secretary or director, I don't want to mention him, but she mentioned the name in the meeting, said you cannot be employed over my dead body. Wow. It took human rights organizations and everything, but you can see how her career was truncated, because probably she would have been a permanent secretary long ago and forgotten whatever that was all about. But she only recently retired, not getting to the pinnacle of her career. Why? Oh, wow. Because the system marginalized her out. And why? She made a first class, but simply because she's a woman. And then when you talk of access to funding, how many of us have direct properties that we have with our names on it to say, oh, we can? If you go to a bank with a joint property, are they likely to take it? And then is the government going to take risk? Because there are risks in the sector. Is your husband going to allow it? You understand? So what facilities? And that cuts across all sectors, not necessarily mining alone. Women still have poor access to funding. So even when you have ideas in your head, you want to do mineral trading, you find out you can't do all those things because you are a woman.
Okay, I want to ask you a question that you answer me in a very, very short frame, because I'm told we don't have time. People say geology is boring. Is it boring?
Geology is one of the most interesting professions I find. Very, very interesting, because geology concept, you have geohydrology, you have geochemistry, you have geophysics, everything geo. God created the world is in 7 days, and everything related to creation can be traceable to geology.
Okay, so we'll get to talk more on the interesting side of geology and get more people involved. I must sincerely thank you, Janet Adeyemi, for coming on the program this morning.
Thank you once again. I'm really grateful for having me. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. And so we move straight to Surviving COVID-19 series.
Surviving COVID-19 series is brought to you in partnership with the Central Bank of Nigeria.
Thank you.
Well, I dropped out from school. Then I decided to learn work to take care of my family. I learned this work for 8 years. Served my Oga 1 year extra, which is 9 years. I go do job man 1 year, which is 10 good years. So I'm 27 years in this. As well as my engine, or the brake, caliper, or whatever in the vehicle, that was a specialized, especially engine. I'm benefiting from it. So at least I've trained many boys through this job, and I've settled many boys through this job. So I don't have any regrets on learning this job. It's only those machineries. That's my challenges. Because right now there are new model cars that need machine to work on it. So if I get that money, I will buy some machines that I'll be using to do all this work. It will be okay by me.
Surviving COVID-19 series is brought to you in partnership with the Central Bank of Nigeria.
And the federal government's efforts at developing policies and mechanisms that promote citizen participation in development delivery has received the commendation of development partners. This was at a dialogue between them and the Minister of State Budget and National Planning. The development partners want the government to do more in having a well-defined development cooperation architecture, including a platform to monitor support by donor community.
Cooperation, but it is not well articulated. And in that regard, I would call upon the government and the Honorable Minister to take steps to go a step further in having well-articulated development cooperation.
With respect to that, I'd like to mention that we have developed a web application which we have christened the iMac to report federal government projects across the country.
And the Nigerian equities market closed a positive on Monday, beginning the week on a firm footing. The all-share index climbed 0.15% to settle at 44,461.63 points. A sum of 72.3 million units of securities valued at 2.16 billion were traded in 2,887 deals. Market capitalization also increased to 24.2 trillion naira. Now let's catch up with global market activities, and Neka Oko is our guide.
U.S. stock futures were flat early Tuesday morning as investors looked ahead to big technology earnings for further clues into the health of the U.S. economy. Futures tied to the Dow Jones Industrial Average struggled for direction, and S&P 500 and Nasdaq 100 futures were little changed. European markets were mixed as global investors assessed the outlook for monetary policy from the U.S. Federal Reserve. The DAX rose 0.15%. The French CAC gained 0.58%, while UK's FTSE bucked the trend to slide 0.16%. Hong Kong stocks were volatile, while Chinese markets continued to slide this Tuesday, while other major Asian markets rose after Wall Street's second straight positive session. The Hang Seng Index in Hong Kong was about flat in the final hour of trade after struggling for direction earlier in the session. Mainland Chinese Shanghai Composite was about flat at 2,976.28, while the Nikkei 225 added 1.02% to 27,250.28. African markets opened on a slightly positive note, with South Africa's JSE Africa Top 40 snapping a two-day losing streak to lead gains at 0.69%, while Namibia's overall index and Morocco's free float index rose marginally.
And I'd like to inform you that WhatsApp is back along with our sister platforms. So this is where we end this episode of the program today. Don't forget you can access all previous episodes on YouTube on the NTA's channel. Business Express returns Wednesday by 3 p.m. I am Leah Kating Baba Tunde saying keep thinking, doing business. God bless Nigeria.